Girls of Reddit, what is the creepiest thing a man has said to you in public? I was 11 in a street market in Italy. A vendor came up and started trying to convince me to marry his son. My dad ran up and was like, dude, she's 11. The guy said, my son's only 26. It's perfect. You don't look 13. I want your number. 911. I was once stalked by a man who worked in the store that was next to mine, and he had told me that he made his Skyrim character to look like me. What's the matter? Can't stand the sight of a strong no woman? I was in Paris at a Christmas market and a guy came up to me and told me I was very beautiful. Before I could say anything back, he said, "You know, I've been following you for a while and saw your friends walk away from you. I could kidnap you so quick. They would never see you again." Then he laughs. And my friend, who was only like 8 feet away and heard this exchange, pulls my arm and we start fast walking away. We cut down so many alleys, popped in and out of shops, and got on different trains since it was nearly impossible to know if he was still following us. There were 3 of us, and while we really have no idea if he had actually been following us for a while, we assume he had been around long enough to know we spoke English. This was a guy who had found my Facebook in about half a second. I have no idea how. People I want to give it to can't find it without my help. So how does SX work for you? Does it hurt you? How do you do it? He'd found out I was disabled and decided this was an excellent and appropriate conversation piece. I was wearing my horseback riding clothes. He held the door for me and said, "You can ride me." When I kept walking into the store ignoring him, he screamed after me, "Hey bitch. I said you could ride me. This is why we can't have nice things, people." I was in Walmart and some creepy guy came up to me and my sister and pointed at his junk in sweatpants, clearly not wearing underwear, and asked if we wanted to touch it. Man in club came up to me and said, "Just thought I should let you know that you have great birthing hips." I worked at a truck stop and needed a driver to sign something, but didn't have a pen. He was a super gross old fat guy, missing quite a bit of teeth. He said that I could borrow his pen, but then I'd have to get in his truck with him. He was going to lock the doors and I wasn't allowed to get out. I recoiled in horror as he gave me the most disturbing smile. The thought of ARPing me and telling me about the fantasy truly made his day. Once I was threatened with physical violence because I didn't smile when a guy told me to and didn't go out of my way to be nice to him when he sat down next to me. I was also called jailbait by a few customers when I was 15 working at a local sub shop, which my manager and co-workers thought was hilarious. Open bracket. So many more anecdotes could come to mind if I sat longer and thought about it, but those stick out. You have all your teeth. I like that. I was waiting for the bus. Edit. Thank you for the silver. I feel honored. I got followed through Walmart and the guy kept passing by me, and every time he would whisper, "God, you're so beautiful. I love you." Edit. Spelling. Edit 2. He followed me to check out and circled the parking lot to see what car I got in. I flashed my gun while loading my groceries and then he left. I went a different way home and was so paranoid of being followed. But I wasn't. I was also 20 weeks pregnant. Scariest moment of my life. I was 14. Out shopping at an Aeropostale when these 2 dudes approached me. They had to be in their mid to late 20s. They followed me around the store and kept asking me to try on the mini skirt I had picked out. Asked me where I lived, my name, and just generally kept following and harassing me. I was super freaked out, hoping that my mom and brother would come back to the store soon to get me out of there. Screaming across a parking lot as I get into my car. Be lucky if I ARPed you. Bitches love me. Oh no. When I was 13, a guy grabbed me by the wrist and he said, "Hey SI. Wanna come with me so I can show you something? I love bad girls like you." I was in 6th grade and had 3 boys discuss my breasts in front of me like I wasn't there. The first boy said I stuffed my bra. The second one came up and explained to him how he could know that I didn't. The third joined in the explanation of real versus fake, like they were looking at a painting on a wall while I sat there flabbergasted at being noticed in that way. I was 17 and cleaning a window at work, on one knee. Guy. In front of his 8-year son. You like being on your knees? It happens a lot more the younger women are. Creepy guys know that the older we are the less likely we are to stand for that shit. So if you're young who gives a shit about being polite, give them a curled lip, raised eyebrow and a well-placed U and watch their faces fall. Not so much what was said at first, but the insistence and continuing to walk with me on my route for like 20 minutes, that I must save his email address. Words alone are creepy on occasion, but it's the absolute worst when there's an element of being trapped. A homeless guy once told me he wanted to throw me in a bathtub full of jello and make love to me. Edit. I laughed really hard when this happened. Who knew I'd get so much mileage out of it 20 years later? Merry Christmas, baby, while grabbing my ass in Times Square. It was the summer. Thanks for the silver razzmatazz. Had an older man ask me to stir his mixed drink with my finger to make it sweeter. This was at a fancy-ish dinner party my family attended. I was 13. This guy was around 50. He went on to make a joke about me eating a sucker later on. Something about blowing pop. Still makes me nauseous after 20 years. You're gonna get spanking in a sing-song tone. I was working at a mom and pop burger joint and made a silly mistake. I was 19 at the time. The dude in question was 60/70. When I got embarrassed, he acted proud of himself and stated, "Look how red she's turning." I had rainbow colored hair as a teenager. One time at work, a 60-plus-year-old customer said to me, "Does the carpet match the DR Pez?" Never mind. You probably don't have any down there. I've never been so uncomfortable. While I was cutting a man's hair at beauty school, he told me to keep talking because it excites him a lot and proceeded to show me his mini-me. At that point I'd just give him a really ducked up haircut. Had a strange old man ask my 3-year-old if she wanted to go home with him. And then you ran him over with your car. Right? I'm a guy. But the old dude who hit on me thought I was a girl from behind. He walked up to me, started rubbing my back, and asked if I'd be his friend tonight. When I turned around I thought we were both gonna have a heart attack. "When you're 18 I'm going to take you to Europe," said my grade 8 teacher. Was walking with my friend and a random dude said to her, "Hey cutie, I like the way you walk." When we ignored him he said, "I see how it is. We're high school kids. Barely 5 feet tall." He followed us for 2 blocks before we made it to a crowded crosswalk. In an argument about why we need train guards. In a room of just men. Okay, but what's stopping you from being up here in this room right now? Silence. If you keep losing weight, men are going to be jumping over the counter to get to you. And the counter was at a library. At the local bar, there's a little old man, like 70, who goes and gets a bouquet of roses and gives them out to all the young girls. It seems really sweet. Unless you happen to hear what he's saying. One time he told me that I wonders what my PSSY smells like. You don't get a view like that every day. I was 10. And bending down to get something off a lower shelf at the grocery store. I was wearing a new lower cut shirt but forgot to wear my training bra that day. The guy was mid-40s probably. His wife was with him. She looked like she was about to cry. I never wore that shirt again. Edit. Wow, this blew up while I was away. For those saying it's not possible for my chest to develop that quickly, my parents shouldn't have let me out in that shirt. The shirt was from Limited Too. My breasts weren't actually that developed, hence training bra. This guy was just a pervert. I did tell my dad after we left the store. He told me what the guy did was sick and wrong. And that next time something like that happened, tell him immediately. I'd cry too. Could you imagine knowing your husband was attracted to children and being that ducking gross in front of you? Divorce right at that moment. I'd be ducking horrified. Like, the CNT had no shame with his wife being there? Ducking nasty. I was working. Doing the whole how are you bit to a customer. He said, if I was any better I'd be twins. Normal so far. And they'd be female. And hot like you. Sir. Do you mean to tell me you'd want to bang your twin sister? This old man, probably 60 something, told me I looked exactly like his favorite PRN star. At my sister's wedding, the photographer approached me at the head table. He leaned in and said, how old are you? 14. I replied. Damn. I was hoping you were at least 17. He then winked at me and walked away. He was at least 40. The people sitting to my right and left both agreed that it was creepy as hell. The fact that he said that in front of others made it super weird. And the fact that he was still hoping I was underage. Just not as underage that I was is super disgusting. Maybe. Just maybe. He was asking for a friend. Ugh. I was chillin' with this dude at a party-ish thing while deployed once. I'd mentioned a few times that I had a girlfriend back home. And he seemed cool and we had a lot in common. So we were fast buddies. Until about 4 AM or so. When we were all sitting by a fire. And he asked if he could hug me. Drunkenly. I was like, okay. Whatever. But then he asked if he could kiss me. And I was like, nah dude. I have a girlfriend. I'm gay as hell. You know that, haha. And his face went real cold and he said, until I catch you walking back to your dorm alone later. I honestly could have cried, I was so scared. Thank duck a group of dudes I recognized walked past a few minutes later to go get early morning French toast at the chow hall. So I tagged along fast as I could. Never saw that dude again. Man 40 years older than me who was always kinda normal once mumbled and made a weird noise and then said to me, the flesh is weak. So creepy. The creepiest. I was wearing a Marshall Lee the Vampire King shirt. One old dude told me that he liked my shirt. I said thanks. He then says he likes it because it makes him think about me biting him. I was shocked. I said nothing. Luckily my friend clapped back and was like, duck off bro. Your wife doesn't even wanna bite you lol. Glad I had someone there with me. Hey baby. Wanna go half-seas on a bastard? A guy asked me what cup size they were. I've also been asked how much by random assortments of men driving while I was walking to work. In work clothes, which was a t-shirt and blue jeans because it was a retail store. I also got told by a very boisterous gentleman in a Land Rover baby that ass is black man approved. And when I looked around thinking someone else had to be on the street, I heard no baby. I'm talking about you. I actually laughed at that one though, so I don't know if it counts. I was waiting for an Uber home from a theater in Boston after rehearsal one night. It was after 11 PM. This black car that matches the make and model on the app rolls up. Stops by the curb and rolls down the window. Guy inside asks if I'm waiting for Uber. I say yes and ask his name to see if it matches. He says, I'm Uber. Get in. At this point I'm creeped out. Alone on a street corner close to midnight. I refuse and he says, I'll give you $300 if you get in this car right now. We're going to a party. At that point I turned around and booked it back into the theater. Absolutely not getting kidnapped today folks. Check your plates before you take your Ubers. Had a 65 plus co-worker who was simply disgusting. Poor hygiene. Raggedy ass greasy beard. Told me he had a Viagra in his lunchbox and that he'd pay for a room after work so I could ride him all evening. I told him no thanks. Went immediately and told our supervisor, who literally laughed and said, well, you know, he didn't mean it. You're not even hot. What a TTY supervisor. I was young. Probably like 19. I went into a gas station to pay. And the clerk said to me, look at you dressed like a little SLT. I was in a skirt and shirt. I was really shocked. and the only one at the store. When I didn't say anything back, he said, "You get off turning men on, don't you?" I got so scared. I also lacked the confidence back then to shut it down. Thank God someone else walked in and the clerk gave me back my change and I went on my way. Oh, and once when I was a teen, I was waiting for my mom at a store. I decided to swing my bare feet out the window and lay back and nap. All of a sudden I felt someone tickling my feet. It was an old man. Wanna smell my armpits? I've had many things said to me. Here are a couple of my favorites. 1. I was 15 at a little amusement park in San Diego that was on the beach, and a middle-aged man came right up behind me, touched my hip and whispered in my ear, "Your body is so SI." I was so weirded out. 2. Used to be a leasing agent at this apartment complex, and this USPS driver would make very strange comments to me. Started to become more SL. One day he said that I had great tits. Another day he asked me if I would consider doing PRN and that I would make a lot of money. Then another day he asked me what the craziest SL thing I've ever done was. He would say this when no one else was in the office. Told me to smile more cause it makes him and his little buddy happy. First date, having lunch at a burger place. He asked loudly if I was a virgin. Then said I need to practice for my future husband when I said I was saving myself for marriage. Everyone was looking and I just wanted to die on the spot. Needless to say, there was no second date. I was walking to school one morning. Usual route. Along a suburban intersection. An older woman, 30s, was ahead of me. This guy drives up alongside us and starts saying gross things. Mostly to me. SCK me out. Dig me open. And cursing at us. I'm pretty much just flabbergasted. The lady was disgusted. But anyways, the dude drove off like it was nothing. I was like 10. Suck me out? Dig me open? I've literally never heard these. Old man said he was a new adult film director in our small town and he asked me if I'd be in one of his films. I was 17 at the time. He then told me his entire name and full address. Called my job every day to find out when I was there. And always asked about my condom recommendations. Either that guy or the time I was walking down the street in midday in full view of a busy outdoor bar and a guy pulled his huge SUV over and tried grabbing me to pull me into his car in front of everyone. I ran for my life and he actually chased me on foot for 3 blocks before giving up. No one helped me. At a bar one night I had a guy flirting with me and told me he was a Napoli vampire. And then went in to kiss my cheek. I kid you not, this dude bit my cheek. Not creepy really, just ducking weird. Oh my. Where to start? I should just pay you right now. You couldn't stop me. I better stop flirting with you or my wife will get mad, who was present. Do you live alone? Also. Questions just asking me if I'm alone. Also statements along the lines of, "Oh, you shouldn't be out alone. You're too pretty, someone will snatch you up." In a grocery store. Random old dude. I was 15. Asked if $500 would convince me to sleep with him. Stranger at a store also started a conversation with me. I was 16 and the cashier, asking me about school. Then turned the subject to asking if I was a naughty schoolgirl and said he was sure I had many of the male teachers after me. A friend of mine noticed me freaking out and came over and told the guy to leave me alone. Edit. How did I forget? There's been a lot over the years. But a recent one that stuck to memory because of how random it was. Old man. Probably 70 plus. Leaning in close on the train and whispering to me, "Is cats your fetish?" With a creepy smile. I wasn't wearing anything cat related. For background. I'm a dwarf. I was 18 years old at the time and out in town clubbing. A group of middle-aged men yelled out, "You wouldn't even need to get on your knees." It was disgusting. But even more so because they were all old enough to be my father. And all wearing wedding rings. They thought it was hilarious and followed me down the road while laughing for a few minutes. I stopped going out clubbing after that. "I'm gonna kidnap you." If I was in my 20s, you'd be in trouble, said a creepy elderly man to me at a gas station after asking my age. I was very uncomfortable. Eater. I just want to say I'm so sorry for all of you who commented experiencing something similar or worse from a family member and at a young age. It's disgusting the things some grown men say do to children and women. I'm glad all of you have the courage to open up about these experiences. A 70+ man said that to me when I was 9. If I were younger I'd have a bit OU. I remember it vividly. My little boy's gonna destroy your Hiroshima. Self-aware enough to not call it the fat man, but not enough to not say it at all. At work. Was taking off my sweater cause it was too hot in the office. By the time I'd hung my sweater over the back of my chair, a colleague, middle-aged, I'm 26, whom I'd only seen a few times and had only said good morning to so far, was standing next to my desk and said, "I'll just wait here to see if she continues." He was talking to my mentor but looking at me. Close bracket. When I, shocked, said, "Excuse me?" Him. "You're not going to continue?" Me. Incredulous at this point. "No." Him. Smiling. "That's too bad." After watching him exchange smiles with my mentor, I politely told him that he was very inappropriate and I'd appreciate him not saying things like that again. He said he wouldn't. But that small smile was still on his face like he didn't take it seriously. The creepiest thing about it was how unfazed both him and my mentor seemed by the whole interaction. "You look just like my daughter," then he tried to lick my face. At a bus stop during the day. I'm Chinese. This old guy next to me at a wine bar started a conversation and told me how he used to be stationed in Korea and how much they loved him there. Then proceeded to ask if I liked to kiss. I tried to play it cool by saying, "You mean the band? I guess they're okay." I was giving him an out but he barreled ahead and clarified plus repeated himself. Asked for the check and paid so fast I knocked the bar stool over. It really sucked because I was a regular there and saw him a few more times after that. I wasn't alone. Thankfully. I just pretended not to notice or remember him. The good ole Eurasian? Let me tell you about my magical encounters with Asian women.